This is KGW News at 11.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Brittany Falkers and we have a lot to get to tonight with a series of gun violence across Oregon. So let's get you caught up with the latest incidents spanning from Southwest Washington to Eugene. The Clackamas County Sheriff's Office needs help to find the suspect in a shooting that sent one person to the hospital. It happened Saturday afternoon at the Winco parking lot on Southeast 82nd Avenue. No arrests have been made and there's little information at this point. Anyone with information should contact the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. Meanwhile, 3 drive-by shootings in the span of just an hour sends 4 people to the Columbia County Jail. They were arrested today after a series of shootings and a chase that took them from Southwest Washington into Oregon. It started just before 1:15 this morning and continued for about an hour at multiple locations. The 4 suspects are between the ages of 18 and 20. Luckily, police say no one was hurt in the shootings or chase. In Oregon City, police are looking for this person. They say the suspect robbed 2 coffee shops in one night. Black Rock Coffee around 7:20 and then Dutch Bros on Main Street around 7:50. In both cases, the suspect allegedly showed a handgun and demanded money. They were wearing a motorcycle helmet with an X marked with white tape. Anyone with information about this incident should contact Oregon City Police. The Marion County Sheriff's Office is looking for information on a shooting this morning in the area of East Salem. They say a car was hit by at least 1 bullet near Deanna Street and Monroe. The driver says just before it happened, around 7 o'clock, 2 juveniles were yelling at them. Deputies say a house was also struck. No one has been arrested. And while police look for the public's help on crimes here, we're learning more about the mass shooting in Eugene over the weekend that sent 6 people to the hospital.
It was super scary. All I could think about was just getting home to my kids.
A victim speaks out tonight about that concert turned to chaos. She and 5 others were shot Friday night, and police are still searching for the person who pulled the trigger. Tonight, we hear from people who were there in what police say could be the worst shooting in Eugene's history.
I feel pretty lucky because my wound was not nearly as bad as some of the others that I had heard.
Aaliyah Tynan is grateful to be alive. She's one of 6 people shot outside WOW Concert Hall in downtown Eugene.
I wouldn't think that coming here, something like that would happen. I've came here for events even in middle school, and it's always been fine.
Around 9:30 Friday night, she was outside the venue with her boyfriend when suddenly gunshots rang out. She ran to hide behind a parked car when she noticed she'd been hit in the back of the leg.
It hurts. It was scary. It definitely could have been worse if it was any further into my leg. It burns really, really bad.
I saw tranquility in one moment go straight to chaos.
Thomas Hura was also there for the hip-hop show. He was outside in the parking lot where people were hanging out.
My attention was drawn immediately upward by loud bullets, and I could directly see the shooter on the same sidewalk as me.
Police say the shooter took off.
All we know is it's a male in a hoodie, and that's about all we know right now.
Rapper Savell the Native was getting ready to do his set when it happened and took to social media soon after.
We trying to tell everybody we about to go on stage. Bow, 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 bow.
48 hours later,
and there's blood everywhere. Still.
Blood and bullet holes, remnants of that terrifying night.
It's not a free loving life. It's not the 60s, it's not the 70s, it's 2022. America's a war zone, you know what I mean? And we got to be aware of our surroundings at all times.
And the suspect has not been found.
The thing that's really critical about this is that when you have something like this happen with this many people involved, is that we know we have witnesses, we know we probably have video and audio available if people are willing to share that with us.
Hira says he did come to police with information and video of the shooting. He hopes it helps them find the person responsible.
I pray to God that he is apprehended, that he never commits this act again.
Meanwhile, Tynan says wounds will heal, but it's going to take time for her to feel safe again.
There's a bunch of innocent people that were affected by this, physically, mentally, emotionally, and it's just, it was just an unnecessary thing. Be safe and always watch your surroundings, even in our small town.
The gunman is still out there, and police in Eugene are working with the FBI to find him. If you have information, Eugene police have set up a tip line. It's right there at the bottom of your screen. Call that number. It's 541-682-5162. Well, take a look at this. An ATM really banged up at a credit union in Hillsborough. Police say someone stole a truck and used it to try to damage it and get access to the cash inside. It happened around 3:30 this morning at First Tech Credit Union on Northeast Elm Young and Cornell. Police found the truck with a chain hooked to the back, which was used to pull out the ATM. Anyone with information on this case should contact Hillsborough Police. Tomorrow, fire departments from around the country will kick off the start of Community Risk and Reduction Week. It's a grassroots effort to encourage fire prevention and life-saving education. So each day throughout the week, Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue will share information about things like technology solutions, economic incentives to encourage safer behavior, and what safety regulations can do to impact risk of emergency events.
The goal of these efforts with community risk reduction are to find ways to reduce the occurrence and impacts of emergency events that often end up in that call to 911. So we really want to find ways to prevent these calls from happening in the first place. And that doesn't mean we don't want people calling 911 during a life-threatening emergency. We certainly do want them to make that call if it's necessary. But we want to find ways to prevent the life-threatening emergency from happening in the first place.
To learn more about Community Risk Reduction Week, head over to crrweek.org. The deadline to renew season tickets for the Portland Timbers and Thorns is this Friday, but some of their biggest fans are not on board. Our Galen Etlin joins us with an update. And Galen, this is in reaction to investigations happening right now in the league.
Absolutely, Brittany. Now, we are talking about this again now because just this week, ESPN published a new article about it. Now, for some context here, we learned a few months ago a former coach who was let go years before was actually accused of sexual misconduct and coercion. So the league responded with a renewed investigation, but now, a few months later, fan groups want answers.
Protests started in fall. A report in The Athletic featured two former Thorns players who accused former head coach Paul Riley of sexual misconduct.
I feel really sad, honestly, about what's happening right now.
Rachel Greneau is with the Rose City Riveters, a fan organization for the Thorns. It's under the umbrella of the Timbers Army and 107 Independent Supporters Trust. The fan groups have a history of working closely with the Timbers Thorns Club, but regular meetings with leadership stopped during new investigations in fall.
We would love to get back to a place where we can work with them productively.
For background, former Thorns player Mana Shim accused Riley of misconduct in 2015. He was terminated about a week later, went on to coach the North Carolina Courage, and denies the allegations. In October, Merritt Paulson, who owns the team, said the issue did not go public because, quote, "We then made an opaque announcement about not renewing Riley's contract, guided by what we at the time thought was the right thing to do out of respect for player privacy. I deeply regret our role in what is clearly a systemic failure across women's professional soccer."
This is an important issue that we can't allow to go away or be ignored.
Sheba Rawson has been a board member of 107ist for about 10 years and says lack of communication since Paulson's statement is a problem.
And if those allegations are true, then that means that the front office allowed an abuser to continue to work in the league for years.
She says many members are not renewing season tickets with a deadline of January 21st. Rachel is one of them.
Feels like something that would have been really unthinkable a while ago.
Timbers FC says renewals are down industry-wide because of the pandemic, but expects about 90% for both teams. In a statement, it said, "For most of the last decade, we have enjoyed a fair and balanced relationship with the 107ist board and have given them unprecedented access, input, and transparency into the club. The relationship has changed. We believe the 107ist needs to be more inclusive and open to differing viewpoints from its small group of leadership. If a relationship is one-sided in a desire to drive protest over facts and players' desires, it isn't sustainable."
Strong words from the club. What's your take on that?
Desire to drive protest over facts. Nothing could be further from the truth. We're all volunteers. We do this because we love our teams. The last thing any of us really wants to do is to engage in driving protests. We would much rather just be able to go to a stadium and sing and cheer for the teams we love.
A spokesperson with the Timbers clarified to KGW the club is not cutting ties with the 107ist groups, but rather looking to change the format of fan input by broadening communications to others beyond meetings with 107ist board leadership. Until then,
I don't know. We'll have to see what it looks like going forward.
Now, the spokesperson for the Timbers and Thorns told me they do hope to share more information about an independent investigation very soon. They're waiting on a separate investigation from the U.S. Soccer Federation. Now, that full statement by the club is on KGW.com, or will be later tonight. And in the meantime, fan organizations told me they want to know more about the specifics of who's conducting these investigations, and they also want to see more investment in future leadership toward diversity and equity. Back to you.
All right, Galen, thank you so much.